Great day, great day. Y'all come on in. Y'all come on in here. We'll go ahead and get us moving public. Make sure we got everything going. We got a good
Dr. Joe Griffin.
Yeah. On in here.
Yeah.
Come on in, come on in, come on in. I see you coming in. You got a good one.
Teaching their talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children.
Whichever social media you might be on, LinkedIn, YouTube,
Dr. Joe Griffin.
Facebook.
I introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intention is teaching their talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history, all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. They ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his dip methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin, yeah. He says recognize trauma, push past the pain. If you got a problem, go look at his frame. Work your perspective and look at it change. Find a goal, set it in critical thing. Manage time, self-awareness.
Empowerment zone. Y'all come on in.
These are the few of the things he's trying to get you to do every day. Do every day. Led 5 schools to increase test scores with his teacher principal collaboration. Things he give to you will have you take you drive to the next level. But first, you need to get some fuel at gas station. Supporting education leaders, creating a culture for kids that'll last for ages. Lack of access to quality professional development, that's outrageous. Got his doctorate in education, leadership, research, make changes. Need to put the kids first and raise them. Need to teach them they worth, stop playing. Later on, they gon' run this nation. Dr. Joe with his dissertation taught to those who would fix, make changes. I introduce you to Dr. Joe Griffin, a speaker, consultant, and author's intentions. The teaching and talk is to broaden their vision, the things they weren't taught when they brought up as children. Reach for the top, regardless of situations, predicaments, or your conditions. He's making history, all of the districts, increasing retention from teachers, 50 to 80%. They ain't all that you hear me. He is the mentor. He paved the way with his dip methodology, really. Dream, be persistent, face fears, seek change, go out and go get it. This what you learning with Dr. Joe Griffin. With Dr. Joe Griffin.
Great day, great day, great day, leaders. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Empowerment Zone. Volume 2, number 46.4. That's right, we back at it. You already know it. So we got a good one lined up for you today. Go ahead and start signing in. If you're with us, let us know where you could be streaming in from. We definitely want to shout you out this afternoon. We've got a good one lined up for you today. As always, I want to do a little house cleaning, a couple of things. First off, I want to know, what solution have you applied this week? What solution have you applied this week? And as always, you know, it's all about collaboration. Everything we based on is based on helping leaders and teachers improve themselves so they can improve their schools and ultimately their total community. So that's what it's all about. What solution did you apply this week? And if you're not going to put it in the chat, still think about it, because each week we have to continue to move forward with solution-oriented ideas, or otherwise we're part of the problem, right? So we got to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do on that end. I want to continue to congratulate schools who have done well, who have received state standardized score reports back, and you did well. Those that did not do well, I still want to also shout you out for your hard work. That does not mean that you did not put in the work. You got to make some adjustments this year. You got to go ahead and go back at it. You can't frown down. You can't bag up. You got to keep moving, or you got to push past the pain of it and just know that you're doing the right things and make those little, minute, trivial adjustments that push you toward longevity and getting those scores up. Want to do a big thanks to Akron Public Schools board president, as well as principal Dr. Carla Jackson. She had me out this past week. We had a full day of professional development along with her staff. Actually, I'm going to show you a quick clip about couple of testimonies basically from that experience. It was really good, and that's why we set out to do what we do. You got to take yourself out of what you're doing as leaders, and that's as leaders, as teachers, as educators, and just give. That's why we're here every week, making sure that we provide solutions that can help you lead your school towards school improvement, no matter what your role. We talk about systemic collaboration. Systemic, that means it has to be across the board, right? That's our language each and every day. So I want to give some shout outs. Definitely. I just shouted out Principal Jackson, Akron Public Schools. Appreciate that. Dr. Diamond Weathersby, I met this young lady on the plane the other day, and she and her mother were preparing to go on a trip, but I want to shout them out. We had a great experience just getting the opportunity to meet people and to network, and always putting yourself in a position where you can help other people so that you can be the best that you could be. Dr. Moomin, I know you're out there listening. You know I'm the one of our LinkedIn users. Last week, it said LinkedIn user when you made your comment, so I wanted to make sure I shouted you out this week. Dr. Stephen Elam out of Michigan, always a regular participant. Thank you. Miss Mary Dillon, that's my veteran OG teacher, math instructor, always supportive, always shouting us out and showing love. Thank you, Miss D. Superintendent Harris from last year. I want to shout out my guests from last year because today I got my first guest for this year, and I want to make sure I shout out the 12 or 15 people who participated with me last year amongst those 42 episodes. Superintendent Harris out of Georgia, Superintendent Watts out of Mississippi, Assistant Principal Jackson, Real Ron Jackson out of California, Assistant Principal Conley out of Tennessee, District Professional Development Administrator Sabina Turner out of Michigan, Principal Jerry Lee Anderson out of Chicago, District Discipline Coordinator, Mr. Plump, Dr. Plump, out of Alabama. Also, Dr. O'Nay Chapman out of Mississippi. He's a mentoring guru. District Superintendent Robert Curtin came on various shows with me out of South Carolina. Create and Educate out of South Carolina. Dr. Sheikah Houston, always supportive. District Officer and CTE Director, Dr. Marvin Lowe. Counselor Jones out of California. Ashley Green, Green Tree Solutions out of Mississippi. Vanola Mason out of Georgia with Achieve It Ed. Dr. Will Wade, former principal and consultant, also out of Georgia. Operations Manager Memory Bender out of Texas. Former Superintendent Cedric Richardson out of Mississippi. Also want to shout out Daisha Betts, Monica Cooper, Josh Towa, and Dot McKeeva Gilly. I appreciate you all. So those are our shout outs for this week. Continue to sign in, if you will. Let us know where you're streaming in from. I want to definitely get you in on the mix as well. And with those updates, I want to just push you ahead. It's some important days ahead here, you all, in the future of education. And we have to remain versatile in it. And as always, I want to give you a quick word before I bring out my guest. And today I just want to ask you, what is your leadership versatility? Ooh-wee. What's your leadership versatility? And I'm going to take you through a couple of channels here in a second about leadership versatility, because it's not going to always be like we want it to be, you all. And we have to remain versatile, agile, flexible, able to adapt in the midst of the storm. I'm going to say that again. You got to be ready to adapt in the midst of storms. They're coming your way. We in them right now. You might can't even see it, but I feel it, I see it. And I'm sure there are many people who will agree to that testament right there. So when you think about your leadership versatility, first off, you got to think about dependability. Showing up all the time, showing up when you're supposed to be there, ensuring that your people trust you. And remember, we talk about leaders as well as teachers. So teachers, we don't count you out of that leadership. In fact, we include you in that. But you got to be dependable, worthy, trustworthy to do what you say you're going to do. Be where you say you're going to be. Dependability is the same thing as consistency. Showing up over and over again, putting in the work, not backing down, not giving up, and being honest and true in all that you do as far as when you're moving things forward. So you got to be dependable. Dependability, that's priority. And I'm gonna give you an acronym for this. You know, you heard of the NCAA. This the DCAA. Okay, this the DCAA about your leadership versatility, the D, dependability, and then you got your C there, and your C is your comfortability. Comfortability with uncomfortability, though. Comfortability with uncomfortability, sure to come your way. I'm gonna say that again because again, you got to be able to have courageous conversations. You got to be able to commit to collaboration over and over again. Sometimes that can be uncomfortable, but you got to become comfortable with uncomfortability. I can't make this up. So DCAA, dependability, comfortability, and that's comfortability with being uncomfortable, right? So, and then you got to go to adaptability, being able to flex and change, being able to work with new teachers, being able to work in new environments, being able to adjust when the test scores don't come out the way that you think they're supposed to be. Because remember, each year we moving toward a different target. So you got to be adaptable. Everything that you used last year, it might not work this year. Some of the things might work, but everything might not work. And you have to be adaptable. When you get that constructive feedback, what are you going to do to adapt to make sure that you're getting better? To ensure that you're not just taking it in a negative way, but you're using it for positive empowerment, for upliftment, for betterment of the craft, for you being able to dive deeper into your pedagogy. Woo-wee! DCAA, dependability, comfortability, adaptability, and then attackability. And I'm going to hit you with two perspectives here because you got to, number one, attack the issues at hand with a sense of urgency. With a sense of urgency. Of course, if you know that small grouping and having flexible stations does that with the data, improve your student data, you got to ensure that you're putting in those professional development pieces that's going to align with allowing those things to take place. So you got to make sure that you're attacking those issues. And then attackability on the other side of that, as a leader, you have to be prepared for attacks. No leader has gone without persecution. Starting back with JC. If you don't know who that is, I ain't going to tell you. But going back to every leader that has ever been in leadership, you're going to face persecution. So you have to have attackability in that you're not going to allow that to set you back. You're going to continue to move forward, continue to push forward, and you're not going to allow the vision to shift. You're not going to allow the vision to shift just because I have to make pivots, just because I have to make an adaptation. I have to change something, or it did not work out the way that I expected it to work out. I still got to have that attackability. Yeah, I coined it. I made it up. I did. But again, you got to have that DCAA, dependability, comfortability with the uncomfortable, adaptability, and attackability. And when you have those four things, it's going to give you the ability to have versatility in your leadership. Ooh, we on fire today, you all. I'm going to go ahead and share a quick couple of these with you. And because I want to get going. That's in my other computer, actually, now that I think about it. But that's okay. I'll put them out this week, or either I'll share them next week as well. As we get ready to bring up our guest, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. I want to bring her to the screen, and then I will go ahead and read her bio. Before I do, next week, I will be solo again, kind of recapping our first 3 weeks. Remember, we always start with the end in mind as educators. We start out with our mindset, method, and mission. Then we talked about intentionality plus instruction equal impact. And then we talked about the journey of juggling the data. So I've got next week, I'm going to come back, tie all that in for you, push you on into the school year. We got our guest today. And then the following weeks after next week, got a series of guests. One of the principal corps leader. I have another couple of principals as well. So we're going to dive into a lot of good things here over the next few weeks. Let me bring up Dr. Tiffany Holman-Besse. Great afternoon, Doc. Good to see you today.
Good afternoon. Good to see you. Good to be seen, sir.
Definitely. I want to read your bio, and then we'll kind of dive into your feature. I mean, you have done some great work, and I wanted to make sure that we get an opportunity to highlight some of that work.
Sounds good.
Tiffany Holman-Besse is a graduate of Maryville University and holds a doctorate in educational leadership. She received a Bachelor of Arts in Biology from St. Louis University. Tiffany serves as the Deputy Superintendent for the Parkway School District in St. Louis, Missouri. Parkway serves 17,000 students and is one of the most diverse parts of the county. Prior to joining the Parkway School District, Tiffany served as the Deputy Superintendent for Instructional Services in the Ferguson-Florissant School District. Hope I said that right. Previously, she served the Pattonville School District as the Director of Secondary Education and Associate Principal at Pattonville High School and as Assistant Principal in the Rockwood School District. Tiffany began her teaching career as an AP Chemistry and Biology teacher in 2000. That's 25 years. Tiffany enjoys spending time with her family and volunteering with her church. Tiffany is a Deeper Learning Equity Fellow, which allows her the opportunity to focus on addressing equity and accessibility for all children through collaboration with educators across the nation. She is passionate about collaborating with and empowering district leaders and teachers to provide students with an equitable, rewarding education designed for success in an ever-changing global society. Welcome, Dr. Tiffany Holman-Besse.
Thank you.
How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored. I'm good this afternoon. Very good.
Wow. That's amazing. You have a great bio here, and actually, it kind of speaks to some of the things I just mentioned and being versatile with your various different leadership positions and just, climbing your way through those various districts. Would you open up and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and speak to that versatility piece that you already displayed?
Sure. So as you noted, yes, I started teaching in 2000, so 25 years.
All right.
Thanks. Dating myself a little bit there. I can tell you I come from a family of educators. My dad is also a retired superintendent. And my mom worked in education, and my oldest sister is a second career supporter of education. And so I would say it's been in my blood for a very long time. As I started serving young people back in 2000, I also fell in love with serving the adults that serve the young people. And what I found most rewarding was it is rewarding to see young people's light bulbs go on in class, right? I was a high school teacher. By that time, they're more mature and their thinking has developed. The frontal lobe is ready for some more sophisticated pieces. And I won't shortchange our young learners because they at times are more ready than our older learners are. But to watch that happen for adults really piqued my interest as a young and early teacher. And so I began to get into professional development as a teacher, and then found myself in the
Hello? Hello? Did you freeze up, Doc? Let me see. Did you freeze? You froze? Am I frozen? Okay. She went out. Okay. I lost my guest there. Maybe hopefully she'll sign right back in. We get her back in here. She was just going off talking about her ability to be versatile through it all. So let me see if she's gonna come back. We're just getting started. That's okay though. you know, and I continue until she gets back in. And hopefully you were able to grab some great notes when we were just speaking here a moment ago about leadership versatility. DCAA, your dependability, your comfortability, your adaptability, as well as your attackability. And yeah, just as I thought, here she coming back in. We had a quick disconnection. That's okay. And
right.
Do you remember where you got cut off at? Dr.
I don't know where I got cut off because I was watching my camera, Joe. I wasn't watching the screen, but it's all good. I'm not. We can just keep having our conversation. I'm sure some of that will come back up.
Okay, definitely. So, another question from your bio, and I thought about this when I was reading over it, and if it's too heavy to answer, of course, don't. But I noticed that you work with Ferguson Florissant.
Ferguson Florissant, yeah.
Florissant, all right. So I know that the Michael Brown incident occurred there in 2014. Were you there then? And if so, can you speak to any of the, I guess, the environment at that time? And if not, maybe how it affected the environment after, because you were right there in leadership?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And in 2014, I was not yet serving in the district. And so when I arrived in the district a few years later, it was still like working through the aftermath. When you think about any type of death in the community of that magnitude, where you have young Black men, unfortunately, that's not a uncommon thing in our country, right? Definitely not normal. But when you think about that, it doesn't just go away overnight. And so while he was not a student necessarily in the district, what happened in Ferguson Florissant afterwards through the Ferguson Commission was just a deep investment in community. And so as I was transitioning there, one of the best pieces of my transition was actually walking the community on somewhat of a scavenger hunt, but not to find the things. The one thing I greatly appreciated was we weren't finding things, we were finding the people. And the reason we were finding the people as part of this work was to hear from the community about what they wanted to see from the school system to really bring justice from an educational perspective to the young people that we were serving. And so it was interesting and very enlightening as a new person entering that community to serve their young people, to hear that they too had hopes, dreams, and aspirations that didn't differ from those that were not experiencing the same traumas around them, and that they really had a high regard for the work that was happening inside of schools, and really holding us accountable to ensuring that, you know, they had safe spaces to learn, but also that the education that we were delivering to them was worthy of them. And so, because they knew, like we all know, when the education is good, the community begins to thrive and be strong and can recover. And so I have never forgotten that part of my transition to the work and the connection and deep-rooted connections in that community, even though I am no longer serving there. But that is, I will tell you, if you work there, it's the beloved Ferg floor. That's how we referred to it when we were there. But it is a place that, though I am no longer there, I still would consider home.
Wow. Okay. Well, and I'm sure that definitely helped prepare you for your future positions as well. And currently you're the Deputy Superintendent at Parkview. And in your role as a Deputy Superintendent, I know that also in your bio, equity was a key word that came up a couple of times. One, the Equity Fellow, which we'll also speak about, but also in just providing equity and making sure that students have access and meeting the needs of all those students. So what does that look like from the perspective of a Deputy Superintendent from your eyes?
Yeah, thank you for the question around equity. So what I will tell you is that equity is central to the work that I do. I'm in charge of our strategic plan along with a colleague of mine, and system-wide, we try to ensure that our decisions that we are making are equitable, not just for our young people, but also for the adults who are in service to them. And so we've taken, I think, when you and I first encountered each other, we talked about some of the work that we've taken on in the system. And what I will immediately go to is this notion of, you talked about what solution have you applied this week? And it's kind of been what we've been applying for quite some time through the work of a colleague of mine, our assistant superintendent for teaching and learning. But one of the first things that came to mind as you talked through your introduction was this notion of tier one. And tier one what? Tier one instruction. And that the foundation of that is a solid curriculum. I go there because a lot of my work around equity has surrounded what's happening in a classroom for young people as a person who has overseen instructional services before and now supporting school leadership. And so when I think about the work of equity for young people, is really ensuring that when they are with us and they're in our classrooms, tier one instruction is solid. But what that means is providing adults with the learning that they need to ensure that learning happens and that all kids are exposed to grade level expectations and have the opportunity to, in fact, perform at or above grade level because of the instruction that they have received. And so Danielle Dickey had made this comment. He's a literacy and leadership developer. Accountability without support is leadership genocide. And so my work right now is really shaped around building a system of support for our leaders as we are asking them to lift this for our staff so that, in fact, we are providing our kids with a very solid, equitable foundation that is deserving of them.
I love it. I love it. You hit on two key points in that answer right there. You talked about curriculum, and then you also mentioned the specific tier one instructional practices that teachers use, and obviously that leaders are pushing down to them to use. And that was like one of the key ingredients of my workshop this past week, is providing those tier one instructional practice. Can you kind of speak to how impactful instructional practices, especially culturally relevant practices? And we talked about, my people know that I love stations. I love reciprocal teaching because there's a social aspect as well as an accountability piece for students, and it allows them to take ownership while accelerating the learning. Can you talk to how those types of instructional practices can align with curriculum to create a more equitable foundation for student learning?
Yeah, and I do want to recognize one of the things that you said. I'm going to encapsulate a little bit of your comment. Like putting students at the center is key, right? And so finding instructional practices that are high yield is essential to making sure that our tier one instruction matches the level of rigor and the standards and the depth and breadth, right? And so one of the things that I will highlight that's away from the actual kids is this notion of teacher efficacy, collective teacher efficacy, right? And so when we think about the instructional practice that we want teachers to use, we also want to think about their collective efforts together, right? No one has all of the answers by oneself. And the effect size, according to Hattie, is one of the highest around collective teacher efficacy. So anytime we can get them planning and working together around high yield instructional practice, what we know is that the increased frequency of things like centers and student dialogue and discourse, what we know is that that's what makes it stick. And most importantly, that's what kids begin to transfer. And so we're not just looking for the answer, right? We're starting to look for transferring of knowledge from kids, not just in my ELA class or my science class. I also want to know how they're applying those skills and dispositions in other content areas. And so when we get down to it, the instructional practices at the core that are going to get us the high yield performance from students are what is key. And when we're able to keep kids at the center and allow them to drive their learning, because student ownership of their learning, it also has a high effect size. And so when we think about the instructional practice that we eventually want to get teachers to, because I don't expect any teacher or any principal to be able to walk in and just magically be able to do this work with young people without having development behind them. And so when I think about the work and the lift that has to be done there and keeping students, pushing students into this empowerment, I know we're in an empowerment conversation, right, for leaders, but pushing students to high levels of self-efficacy and self-empowerment are really, really key in us not only meeting the targets that we have for them as learners, but most importantly, helping them achieve what they have aspired to. And so we really do have to pay attention to those high yield instructional strategies. And the other thing that I will close my comment with is you talked about culturally relevant instruction. And what Zaretta Hammondsburg tells us is that we do have to get down to the bottom of culture, right? Because a child's brain learns when they know we love and care about them. We don't have to love them to death by lowering the bar and just making it easy for them, because then they never reach the goal that they aspire to. But the brain development and the work around cultural relevance and keying in to what really makes a young person tick, I boil that down to knowing their story. We oftentimes talk about, do you know your students' interests? But I also want to know their story because they walk in with a story, and it's our job to help them continue writing it and not write up on them something that could be untrue. And sometimes we do that by mistake, without intention. But for some of our young people, that's harmful and they don't recover from that. And so the goal is really to help write the story in a way that really meets the need of the learner, but honors the learner who walked in the door just as they are.
Powerful, powerful, just as they are. And that's pretty much what equity is, meeting them where they are and providing them what they need so that they can be successful no matter who you are, no matter where you come from. I believe that every person should have an opportunity to succeed. 100%. So, and just to kind of continue along those same lines, and then we'll kind of switch modes a little bit. The Deeper Learning Equity Fellow, how does that play into it, and what is it?
Right on. So it's a fellowship, and I will tell you what it has been for me has been pretty much, it's been a life-changing experience for me. It has helped me grow into the leader I am today by really challenging my notion of self first and really getting really clear about who I am as a leader through the lens of equity, but also helping me understand the story that I carry so that I can really center and understand the stories that my young people and the adults I serve and the adults who are in service to them have. And so the Equity Fellowship in and of itself is really a deep dive into leading with the lens of understanding a historical narrative, but also respecting and understanding the people who were here before us and those who are here with us in this moment, as well as looking at solutions that are centered in the stories and lives of the young people who we serve in education, and fighting at all costs to preserve their ability to excel and grow in a world who sometimes has locked them out. And quite honestly, the system of education in our country is very difficult for some of our young folks who are trying to fight their way through to achieve their dreams. And the Equity Fellowship has empowered me as a leader, one, to find my voice, two, to strategically fight the system as a whole, but also to fight the system that I am in, and to make connections across the country with people who are in the work so that you don't have to do it alone. And there are unique individuals selected for a special time to each fellowship cohort. And I will tell you that I have been more blessed by the fellowship likely than I deserve.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, awesome. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great work. And can you kind of, I guess, speak to the difference in your roles from going from building level administrator to your executive leadership positions?
For sure. So I start out as a typical assistant principal, right? You're doing some teacher evaluation and student discipline. But what I will tell you is I was afforded the opportunity in each of my roles to grow outside of what a typical assistant principalship is. thought of to be. And so I was developed as an instructional leader. And that is led me through these executive positions that I have had. And so as an assistant principal, not only was I doing discipline, for me, that was secondary, not because my kids were well behaved, but just because instruction was very, very important to me. And the more young people see you in a classroom, actually, the less time I have to spend with them in the office, because they know that I've made an investment in them and in their teachers. And so I found myself, again, enjoying watching the growth of the adults who were teaching and sitting in and advising and coaching through professional learning communities, and also co-planning professional development with department chairs and department leaders. And then eventually at the district level as director of secondary, where you facilitate curriculum development and professional development with assistant principals and department leaders. That led me to just a deeper desire to do more. And so I became the Deputy Superintendent for Instructional Services. And in that particular role, I also learned a lot about student services and this notion of the blending of both sides of the house. Because what we know is that there are academic behaviors, right, and there are social motion behaviors. And then that really challenged my leadership development. Two aspects. I also had to learn curriculum K-12 instead of just being secondary. So I learned enough about literacy to make me dangerous, which was really key for me. But I also learned that we had to begin partnering the social emotional learning work with the academic side of the house. And so that began a journey. And then I found myself now in school leadership directly, working to help facilitate the growth of our school leaders and coaching with them in accordance with our strategic plan and their individual comprehensive school improvement plans. And so that brings me a lot of joy. There's a lot of challenge there, but that's kind of how all of that work has blended together to my position as it sits now.
Awesome. And I just want to highlight something you just said, and it speaks to your level of adaptability and flexibility. You said that you became dangerous in literacy, and that's coming from an AP chemistry and science teacher background. So I just want to go ahead and highlight that right there, because I don't want that to slip past anybody's head, because you have to be able to be adaptable. You have to be able to be versatile in order to maintain in these different positions. So that's a testament to you, Dr. Holman-Besse. So definitely continue with your journey there. We appreciate what you're doing for students.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem, no problem. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here, and I'm definitely happy that you accepted the invite. Well, as you continue in your role, what is something that you foresee as one of the things that you're hoping for, that you're pushing for or working toward within your role?
Oh, I would say in this particular role, I want to see us continue to provide a through line. And I know that sounds incredibly simple, but a through line for our leaders as we continue working our strategic plan. And what I know is that when our leaders can communicate with us, not necessarily in a sequential order, but when they can begin to tie the pieces of the plan together. So like, for example, we're on a road for multi-tiered systems of support, and really pulling that off system-wide. When our leaders can begin to connect the why we're doing that work as a district to how that impacts them as a leader, and that begins to show up in their school improvement plans, we know they see the through line. And their leadership development plan is couched around all of that. And so what I hope is that through line continues, and that we are building the story for kids in Parkway, that we will be excited to tell, and that they will be different in a very good way because they've experienced education in a way that has honored them, and that our staff is different because they've experienced development in a way that honors their work, and that our leaders continue to be strong and develop because of the commitment and investment we've made in them.
Definitely. And Dr. Sheikah Houston said, good evening, Doc. Good evening. Definitely appreciate you. I shouted you out at the beginning of the show as well as one of our people that are always supportive. So thank you as well. Well, Doc, one of the things that viewers, especially my people that view, they want that advice, they want solutions. And I've got another segment of the show that I'm adding that we're going to do after this with you. You'll be the first person that actually goes through it.
Okay.
But what would be like some major or key takeaways that you would give to educators, leaders and teachers? I'm big on teacher-principal collaboration and systemic collaboration. So I like to always provide it through a lens where both the teachers as well as leaders could benefit, so that, because a lot of our professional development is separate, but at some point we got to meet in the middle if we really want to work together, if we want to have a real collaboration, but we haven't separate everything. So what would be some key takeaways that you would give to our viewers?
Well, one of the things, Joe, you kind of hit on this earlier in the conversation. And so I'm going to probably oversimplify part of your introduction. But one of the things that is really key is to know yourself and know your story and place value in it. It doesn't mean center self. And I don't say it in that notion to be the center of attention. I say it because when you know who you are and you stand on your own truth, then it's really clear to those who you are leading what your purpose is. And so when people understand your why and they know your story, then they have choices to make too. And then you choose those things together. The other thing I would note is vulnerability is key as a leader. You don't have to tell your life story, but you also have to be willing to be wrong in order to be right. You mentioned collaboration. It's very hard to collaborate when you're unable to be vulnerable. And so that might be telling part of your journey, but that also might just be getting really real and saying, I don't know, or I don't have an answer. And with vulnerability comes trust. And so I would also key in on creating environments where trust is at the center so that people understand and know that you have their back, because it's in those moments where we make mistakes or we may or may not be our best selves, that vulnerability and knowing oneself also teaches others how you're going to respond to them when they too make a mistake or need or have a moment of vulnerability that needs to be expressed. The other thing I'm going to tell you, I know is going to sound completely crazy. As leaders, if you don't have a board of directors, that family who is not the family at work, you have got to get one. I have a board of directors internally, but I have a board of directors externally. And they help me keep my four walls together. And by my four walls, I mean my family, my faith, my friends, and myself. And so when I'm dealing with something challenging and I need to be checked or told the truth by someone who is not working with me, my board of directors are the people who do that for me. And so you can't do this work alone, and no one should try. I've tried. It works out poorly, but I am so grateful for my board of directors, both internally and externally to my organization, because they are real. They keep it real. They know me. They know my intention. They understand my why. And the last thing I will say is that it's not about today's fight. It's about the war. It's about winning for young people. It's about standing when we don't think we can, and we have to stand together. And so you mentioned at the opening that, education here in our country at this point is under attack, and we just have to continue to stay the course, and stand together and stand up for what we believe and be strategic in our fighting.
Awesome. You said some key points. You talked about a personal board of directors, and my people who have been following, they know that's definitely one of the things that we have literally spoken about. That's crucial, to have that personal board of directors. You also spoke to self-awareness. Self-awareness, that is powerful information right there, because you can't ask for help when you need it unless you're self-aware about the fact that you need it. Asking for help when you need, that's one of our affirmations in the Empowering Educational Communities framework. I ask for help when I need it. And the only way that you can do that is to realize that you need it.
Right.
So many times we ignore the fact that we need it. We say we're going to keep doing it this way. We're reluctant to change. We're reluctant to advice. We're reluctant to constructive feedback. And we just keep plowing along in that same miserable path when there's other opportunities and other ways that are offered to us. So thank you for those powerful takeaways that hopefully the viewers will listen to and gravitate toward, and actually put it in their repertoire. So thank you for that, Dr. Holman-Besse.
You're welcome.
Yes. All right. So now we got this is called, we got a final segment.
This is the new stuff, right, Joe? This is the first time. This is the new stuff.
Yeah, this is the new stuff right here.
This is the new stuff. Okay, might be a good time for the viewers to drop off. Okay, go ahead.
You the test person.
Great,
Mr. Pilot.
All right, called the Big 11. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. Go ahead.
It's called the Big 11, okay? And
the Big 11.
The Big 11, and I call it the Big 11 because anybody that has followed me know that I played basketball through high school and college, and I always wore number 11.
Okay.
Community college as well as senior college and in high school. So these are the Big 11.
Okay.
All right. And
do they know I haven't seen the Big 11? Do they know that?
No one has seen the Big 11. This is the first time.
No one's seen the Big 11. Joe, have you seen the Big 11, Dr. Griffin?
I've seen the Big 11, but this is the first time I'm trying them out on live.
All right, let's rock with it. Let's go.
All right. And you talked a little bit about this, but we're going to break it down a little bit now. All right. What's your why in one word or phrase?
Ooh. Serve young people.
Serve young people. Okay. So now we're going into 3 whys for your motivation. What's your motivation as an educator?
You need 3 though?
You can stay with that same answer if you want to.
So you need 3 or you just need 1?
Just 1.
And what's my motivation? I would say my motivation is seeing young people thrive. So serving them, but then seeing them thriving, because I got my own. And I certainly want them to thrive.
Why?
Why do I want that? I want that because, well, first of all, they deserve it. And second of all, we often talk about our future, but our young folks are our future. And I'm not worried about growing old and not being taken care of. What I'm worried about is that our young people inherit a world that's deserving of them. And they are the people who will come out and change it. I believe in this generation like I have never before. And I believe these young people are coming out of our schools and entering the world at a time where they are ready to change and make it a better place. That's why.
Final why.
Final why. Because we can't do it without them. And I'm going to just say this. I got 3 amazing young people in my house. They're the why I get up for every single day.
We can't do without core purpose. That's a professional development exercise, people. How you get to your core purpose. That's powerful. What dream are you chasing? 1 word or phrase.
What dream am I chasing? I'm chasing... Yeah, that's a great question. I think the dream I'm currently chasing right now is building a system of education that honors our young people in a way that sees them when they show up every day, and that the adults who are working with them are seen, and the leaders who are working with them are seen as well.
How are you initiating and investing in yourself this year?
So I am on a professional development journey, my own, to the just learning about the superintendency. But I also will be working through some professional development, whether it's locally, just to really sustain myself and deepen my understanding around school leadership, but also in support of my current role, multi-tiered systems of support. So I'll be doing quite a bit of learning.
How have you pushed past pain or shown resiliency this year?
How have I pushed past pain and shown resiliency? One of the things I do believe in is that it's important to say that you're not okay. Like, it's okay to not be okay. Part of pushing past that resiliency is admitting that, like, there are times where you are not okay, because it opens the door for healing or to take a breath. Because sometimes, you know this, many of us know, these jobs and the state of education make it feel like you can't breathe. And so I think it's okay to, in order to push past resiliency, to admit that I'm not okay. And one of the ways that I find peace is to actually read, but then I like to exercise and walk and run, because that's when I do my greatest thinking and reflection. And that it does allow me to be quite resilient in a shorter period of time.
Awesome. I prioritize my emotional well-being as an educator. One of our affirmations from the empowering educational community. Thank you, Dr. Besse. What demands your persistent purpose?
Oh, what demands my persistent purpose?
Word or phrase?
Personally, my faith and family, and professionally, a commitment to young people and their success.
All right. 3 more. Biggest concern for educators, one word or phrase.
Biggest concern. I don't want us to lose who we really are in the midst of the turmoil as a system that we are experiencing. When we lose who we are and why we do this work, we're in trouble.
Okay. Awesome. What instructional practice lights your fire?
Oh. What instructional practice lights my fire? So I'm going to say something and I'll have to explain it. Leaving to learn. And so I am going to just do a plug, but it's not because of any other thing that I truly believe in it, but big picture learning does leaving to learn. And it's really where the moment students enter a learning space and meet their advisor, they experience learning through the eyes of themselves and what interest-based projects they can do. But then they begin to experience the world of work and career and aspirations as young as a freshman in high school, and through a competency-based model. And that lights my fire for learning, because when we can expose all young people to their dreams and give them opportunity to explore early, they no longer wonder about their future, and neither do we. And so that lights my fire to be able to create opportunities where young people are able to go out and do that work in their community and experience life as it would be if they were an adult, and be able to do that through their own passions.
Wow, that lights my fire as well, because on the job training, that's what they need. I had a young person tell me that they didn't want to do the particular class because they weren't learning what they were going to do on the job.
There you go.
You don't learn what you do on the job until you actually get on the job. You do the book work.
Right. That book work looks a little bit different in some spaces. And so internally, we have a program called Spark that allows students to have access to that as well. But I think that you are correct. Like, on the job doesn't have to wait for them to be on the job. If we can do it now, we should do it now.
That's powerful. All right, it's only 3 more. How
You said 3 more 2 ago. I just want want you to know. Go ahead.
It's the big 11. It's the big 11. How do you want your students to feel? One word.
Oh. Seen.
How do you want educators to feel? One word.
It's not different. Seen.
Okay. And your one word prayer, mantra, or affirmation. And it can be a phrase as well.
I am who I am not yet.
I am who I am not yet. Ooh, that speaks to growth. I like that. Thank you, Dr. Tiffany Holman-Besse. You're the first person to go through the big 11.
Great philosopher.
I hope it wasn't too much for you. I appreciate you. So, you got any final words or anything?
Dr. Griffin, it has just been a pleasure to be on with you this afternoon. I feel like I'm going to start my work week out as we welcome our young folks back from summer vacation into the busy halls of our schools. I'm going to be on a high just because of our time together. And I feel incredibly blessed to have spent this time with you and the viewers. And I hope that each one of you, whenever school may have started or starts for you, that you have an amazing school year. Keep your head up, stay in the fight, but don't fight it alone.
Definitely. I'm gonna play this real quick, I hope, and then let's see.
Wonderful professional development. Dr. Griffin was exceptional at engaging the entire staff the entire time, because we all know that teachers and administrators are just like our students. So the DIP approach is an excellent approach. I'm excited for this school year and to apply the things that we learn as professional development. Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Definitely. I just had to play that, you all. I wanted to play it at the beginning of the PD, but had to finagle through two different computers as well. But in closing, I definitely want to also share with you all. I want to make sure that you, Dr. Holman-Besse, do you want to leave your information in case anyone wants to reach out for support or help or anything like that?
Sure, I will. Do you want me to just drop it in the chat?
You can drop it. That's fine. That's definitely fine as well. And while you're doing that, I'll keep on put up mine, and we will prepare to close. I want to definitely ask that you all continue to lead and to love with your heart. Continue to search for wisdom so that you can find your true purpose, and continue to be courageous so that you can drown out all fear and continue in the fight for our students and our teachers. Empowering the education community. We'll see you next week, you all. Let's stay back, Doc.